In Victorian Britain, the socio-economic factors of industrialization and migration to towns and cities in search of work, insufficient landlord controls, and a systematic lack of support for the unemployed served to make poverty and homelessness chronic. Time immemorial, those holding the power to govern the citizens passed rules and regulations that criminalized the perceived social ills of vagrancy, begging, and the activities of all manner of street folk in our towns and cities. Help did come from charity, the church, and well-meaning philanthropists, but never enough. People who found themselves without a bed for the night were not just at the mercy of freezing temperatures, but the police too, enforcing antiquated vagrancy laws. It was simply a crime to be on the streets and not to be able to account for yourself and means of subsistence. Thus many a poor soul was forced to wander the streets at night in a constant state of stupor and exhaustion, in an attempt to find a hiding place to evade the police, and in the hope of finding work the next day, or at least respite in a park. Today, we accompany a Victorian journalist investigating the plight of London's homeless in 1885. He journeys through central London in the bitter cold of night to discover desperate scenes of people who, often drawn from the countryside in search of work and opportunity, found neither. You will find out that, to avoid the nightmare of a stay in a workhouse casual ward, they slept rough both on and under the city's bridges, becoming trapped in a life where the few hours' work they might get occasionally in wharves and docks was never enough to pay for a roof over their head, or to return home and escape the vice-like grip that London had on the poor.
Before we move on, if you're interested in history like this, and you want to find out more about what life was really like for people in the past, please consider subscribing for more content. If you'd like to support what we make for you, check out the description for links to ways you can help us to continue bringing the past alive.
In the dim shadows of a half-lighted hall are gathered together one of the strangest and saddest assemblies that even London, the city of strange sights, can show. The gas is lowered to induce the slumber of the poor creatures, who have abandoned themselves to almost every conceivable attitude to obtain rest and sleep. Some lie stretched full length upon the bare floor, others crouch by their chairs and rest their heads on the hard wooden seats. Some are bent almost double, their faces on their knees. Others, again, sit bolt upright, save for their weary heads, which are sunk on their breasts. Men, women, and even little children are here, in every woeful stage of poverty, rags, and dirt. From the voiceless assembly rises a hoarse murmur of moans and groans and stifled cries, as ever and again the distress of life breaks even into the sleep of some poor wanderer, and he dreams painful dreams. These poor creatures are London's outcasts, the veritable wanderers of the midnight streets. Poor wretches who, being absolutely penniless, are compelled to shiver and shrink through the keen winter night with no roof above them but the pitiless sky, or to seek a shelter in any hole and corner they may find. And they have been sought out and brought hither by friends connected with the London Congregational Union, who are endeavouring to help them both physically and spiritually. Of all the sad sights which London streets unhappily present, there are few more sad than that of these homeless wanderers. In the light of day, when the streets are crowded and the bustle and noise are at their height, they are hardly noticed. Or if noticed, the full extent of their misery is not seen. But when the hour of midnight has passed, and the thoroughfares are deserted, and such silence as restless London ever knows has descended upon the wilderness of houses, then their weary, aimless walk, their deplorably sad faces, their pitiful rags blowing in the night wind, all present a terribly painful picture, and their awful misery is strikingly apparent. Let us speak to one of them. He is shuffling down Ludgate Hill, and the time is near 1 o'clock in the morning. The great stream of traffic which all day has rushed and roared down this great thoroughfare is stilled now, and our voices sound strangely loud in the unwonted silence. "Well, my friend, are you sleeping out at night?" we ask. He darts an eager, inquiring gaze at us, as if suspicious of our motive in addressing him, and then answers abruptly, "Yes, I am, worse luck." "Why? How is that?" "Because I can't get anything to do. I am a grocer's assistant, but trade seems so dull I cannot get employment anywhere." "That's bad. Will you let us try and help you? Here is a ticket which will admit you to breakfast at 6 o'clock in the morning. You can go to the Hole now, if you like, and sleep till then. And if you choose to come again to the Hole tomorrow afternoon, we will hear all you like to tell us, and see if we can help you get work." "Thank you kindly, sir. Yes, I'll go, sure enough, sir." Almost too overpowered at this unexpected turn of events, the poor fellow hastens away in the direction given. We, too, turn around and proceed over Blackfriars Bridge. Alas, what a sight is here! Huddled together out of the wind are quite a large number of midnight wanderers. Starved, cold, and terribly helpless they appear. Some have sunk to their full length on the hard pavement at the foot of the bridgehead, and one we meet further on is a woman, with a piteous-looking baby face peeping from the folds of her tattered shawl. Others stand against the wall with hands in pockets and shoulders raised, sheltering themselves from the cold blast which sweeps so keenly over the river. The deeply recessed seats are crowded with wretched occupants, thronging together to obtain warmth, rest, and slumber. Over 60 poor wretches have thus been found on this bridge alone. They are of various trades and occupations, and from all parts of the country. One has been a Hampshire labourer, another a Margate ostler, this man a Cambridge stonemason, that woman a needleworker from Dorsetshire, mantle makers, domestic servants, governesses, charwomen, bricklayers, law writers, coopers, pianoforte makers. Labourers of every description are found among them. Some have been sleeping out in the streets 3 nights, some 5, some 1. They object to go to casual wards because they allege that they cannot get out sufficiently early in the morning to find odd jobs of work at the docks, coal wharves, markets, etc. Another reason advanced is the objection to the bath. "I should not mind if it were clean water, or if I could have the first dip," said one. "But to go into the water after a lot of others, phew, I cannot stand it." On London Bridge the same sad sight is presented, and numbers of men and women of all characters and employments, as just described, are to be found, crouching into the seats in search of rest and shelter. For some reason, the bridges are favourite resorts of the sleepers out. Perhaps the sight of the silent river, with its rows of shining lamps, its shipping, and its far outlook, is more welcome to the wanderer than the stony streets. In any case, here they congregate, and as many as 150 poor wretches have been found on London Bridge alone. The Embankment is not such a place of resort as might have been expected, at least not in the winter months. 8 persons have been found passing the night there, but its seats are too exposed to the wind. Neither is Waterloo Bridge much frequented, 6 only having been discovered sleeping there. Trafalgar Square is more in request, and no less than 47 have been found wandering in the dimly lit space fronting the National Gallery and surrounding Nelson's Monument. The Green Park side of Piccadilly also furnishes its contingent, and sleepers have even been found crowding within the railings of the courtyard fronting Baron Rothschild's house. The contrast between poverty and richer is sharply enough defined then. Many, A majority, in fact, of these wretched wanderers are from the country. From north, south, east, and west, they tramp up many miles to the metropolis in hope of finding its streets paved with gold, and too often, alas, they find themselves instead paved with poverty. Their speech is of the country whence they came. Their hands are yet horny with the toil they have left. They have lost work there, times being so bad, and with a little money in their pockets, have bent their steps hither. They are unused to London and London ways. Their little funds are soon exhausted, and they tramp about the streets weary and heartsick and full of despair. To deal with this, in some respects, the lowest phase of poverty and want, the Congregational Union of London began last summer, and have since continued, through the winter, the plan of free Sunday morning breakfasts. On Saturday nights, a party of gentlemen go out into the highways and byways of the great city, and invite some of these sleepers out as they find deserving to Collier's Rents Hall, in the borough. The breakfast is given at 6 in the morning, and until then these strange guests are allowed to sleep. After the breakfast, which consists of meat, sandwiches, and coffee, a short service, with a brief and practical address, is given, and a cordial invitation is offered to all who choose to come again in the afternoon, when gentlemen are in attendance to hear each individual case and endeavour to help each one to obtain work. There have been many who avail themselves of this permission, the average being about 125 every Sunday afternoon, and the distress revealed has been appalling. It is heartrending to listen to tale after tale of such utter misery and woe, but it has to be done, and is done. Each case is then dealt with on its own merits. For some, wood chopping, under the hall, at 1 shilling per day, is provided, and if they apply themselves and show themselves worthy, situations are, if possible, found for them. Several persons have thus been helped, and have done well. Others ask for a small loan to redeem their tools from pledge, and, on earning money, have paid back the loan by degrees. Some have been sent back to their country and homes. In addition to this work, which has been kept up the whole winter, and is still in progress, the Union have given penny dinners and breakfasts to poor children, and have superintended a wise distribution of old clothes, boots, etc. Just before Christmas last year, a meeting of over 100 children, to whom boots had been given, was held at Gifford Hall, Caledonian Road, and in every case but 2, the children, with their boots on, were there. The exceptions were caused by, in one case, the child and his parents having been obliged to enter the workhouse, and the other by the child being in the hospital. In every case, the boots were accounted for. This fact speaks volumes for the wise distribution of the boots to really deserving cases. For, in many instances, alas, such charitable donations only afford the heartless parents the means of buying drink. But this work in outcast London requires both money and helpers, and the Reverend Andrew Mearns, Secretary of the Union, Memorial Hall, Farrington Street, will be glad to receive offers of both.